Namaste, Amy. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast, which is all about the habits of positive role models. And I consider you as a positive role model. Amazing and wonderful human being at that, and then always compassionate, radiating positivity and kindness. And that's why I really wanted to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, Krishna. So thank you for asking me. I currently work at the University of Essex. I work in the psychology department as a student engagement officer. I reach out to students. I kind of keep track of how students are getting on, reach out to them, ask if I can help them in any way, perhaps signpost them to other people if I can't help them. Also trying to organise student events to help make their university experience more positive. And I used to work in the Talent Development Centre, which is obviously where I met you a few years back. So I worked in that department for only 2 years. Prior to that, I was actually a primary school teacher. But I had a career change, and I joined the university. And then I moved from working with the talent development team to working in the psychology department, but still very student focused, reaching out to students. I've always loved working with children, felt drawn to sort of working and supporting children. But I think as I grew older, and then as well, my children were getting older, I kind of looked for something else. Maybe I found that being a primary school teacher or education wasn't it's quite prescribed sometimes, and you can't always maybe help like how you think you would like to help, and start to look in different ways, different careers, and that led me to the university.
What exactly gives you that high and that makes you really motivated and you look forward to coming every day? What excites you the most?
I think well, when you can find a solution for somebody, I think that feels really good. If someone comes to you and they can't, and it might be something really small, it might be something really small, but actually it makes a big difference to them. And sometimes like problems are more complex, and then it's a challenge to yourself as well, so you yourself have to work out what you need to do to help them, or how things can be resolved. And it just, you feel like what you're doing is worthwhile. In my role in particular, it's sometimes, I'm sometimes I can reach out to a student who I haven't met before, and sort of catch them just when things might be on the turn in a bad way, and you can reach out to them and just hit that critical point where they say, actually, no, things aren't going so well. I might only signpost them where to go, or just say, don't worry, you just need to do this. They do it themselves. But it's nice to be able to kind of proactively reach out to students because they're in our department. Whereas in my old role, it's like you couldn't proactively do it. It was waiting for people to come to you.
How do you spend time outside of work? I mean, do you read? What are some of your hobbies?
So my outside of work, my priority really is my family. I have 3 children, so a lot of my time is taken up being a taxi driver and cooking dinners. But I also, I love to spend time with my family. So I always like to have things planned and arranged for us to do, and think carefully about what they might like to do. I love being with my children, and spending, and especially now as they grow up through every stage, it's really great. And if I'm not with my children, I also like to be with my friends. I'm very lucky. I have lots of lovely friends who I love, and they're good to unwind with. It's important, I think, to have time as well, just for yourself, doing, just unwinding. My 3 children all like to do different things. So I try to make sure I do different things with each of them. Like they like music, they like theatre. We read together. Maybe just going for walks. Sometimes, it doesn't have to be big things, just simple things like my oldest daughter, she just likes to sometimes go for a walk, and then we can talk, have a chat. And then my youngest daughter loves the theatre, so we try to see some shows together. My son is more sporty, but he's also more of a homebody. So often we just spend time at home together. Yeah, I think it's like looking for what the individual likes to do, and then spend time together doing something they like.
That's amazing. So do you like? I'm trying to get what are some of the habits that you have, because this podcast is all about habits. So do you cut off from work when work is at home? I mean, I know you work from home, but then when you're outside of work hours, I don't take my phone, I don't check my email. What are some of the things? What are some of the rules that you go by? To divide family time, and what are things, if you can share, please?
Yeah, I think that's really important actually, because I was always very good at that, separating that time, and that was always one of my when I went back to work after having children, as part-time, because I felt very strongly that I wanted to be able to give time to my children and my family.
Yes.
And then obviously my job I now have was full-time, and then during the pandemic, working from home with three children at home, obviously all the lines got very blurred because you couldn't get the work done maybe in normal working hours, so maybe you did it earlier in the morning or later in the evening. And then actually that shift back from the pandemic hasn't been so, it's all still been a bit merged. And actually, so I took about a year ago, I just when things were getting back to normal, I decided that I had to be very proactive in making those changes if I was gonna go back to how it used to be. So actually, I decided to cut down my working time to only 4 days a week, to give me an extra day to kind of get on top of family life and all the home stuff, so that I had my weekends completely free, to like kind of focus on family activities or personal stuff for me. And yeah, I am. And on Thursday when I finish, I put the out of office on, and I might sometimes have a peek at my emails out of office. But as a rule, I put that out of office on a Thursday, and it says I'm going to be back on Monday, and that is time I'm not at work.
Right.
I think that's really important, because I think it's very easy to let those work kind of just slip, into the, even if you're not doing it, maybe it's in the back of your mind. But I think that, I think it's really important. I find sometimes actually, if I find it hard to switch off, I like to go in the garden. I do. That's what actually you said, what my habits. I love gardening actually. I spend a lot of time, and I get and I find actually that's a really good sort of clearing the mind exercise, I can just be in the garden, think I'll just go out there for 5 minutes, and sort of, an hour later, time's gone. I've just been doing some weeding or something. That's and also the same. I like go. I try to get out and go for a walk every day. I'm not someone who's very good at. Some people, they like to have like maybe certain classes. They have yoga. They like to have the structure to what their kind of wellbeing activities are. I'm not very good at that. I'm not somebody who I find that actually quite stressful, because like I don't like thinking like, oh, I have to be there at 7 o'clock, or that class, that exercise class, or whatever. And then so that that kind of doesn't work for me. And I think I've learned that about myself. So I no longer put those expectations on myself. It just makes you feel bad. So I think I've learned that, I'm someone who just has to take those moments of like calm and like when they happen, rather than trying to schedule them in. I've always been somebody who goes to bed really early. I like to. I'm generally asleep by sort of 10 or 10:30 most nights, unless I'm going out. If I'm just at home with nothing happening, I like to get into bed, read a book, or watch something, and then again, I normally get up about 7. So I'm not a very early riser, but I never lie in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to pick on some things that you mentioned in the last sentence. You said you get out to bed, if nothing's happening, you get out to bed 10:30, and you read or you watch something and you go to sleep. How does that? Is there a structure to it? Because I'm trying to say, okay, you've done your dinner, at X amount of time, at this particular time, I'm done with the family, now it's my time. I'm on the bed, I'm reading a book, or what does that look like? How does it happen post dinner? What time do you have dinner? Early dinner?
Oh, oh, we have dinner probably about 6, and then
Okay.
we kind of, children normally have like maybe some clubs and stuff, and there's kind of backwards and forwards in the house, and it kind of normally calms down about 8. And my youngest goes to bed at 8, and once I've put her to bed, read a story, um,
Every
then
day? Do you read
so
her? Do you read her story every day?
not
Yes.
every day. If she's late to bed, then she just goes to bed.
Mm.
But if we have time, yeah, we normally have a story on the go. We read a couple of chapters.
And
Um,
then, yeah.
yeah, and then in the evening, like I will see if either of my other children want to watch something together, or
Mm.
have a little chat with them, see what they're up to. They're at the age where usually they're just like, yeah, we're fine, mum.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So and then my husband, we might watch something together, or read, or if not, we just take time alone, take time to do our own thing for a little bit, and it's fine. That's
So,
probably the
yeah, so do you retire to the bedroom and read a book? I'm trying to see where you read the book and then you go to sleep.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, usually in bed, yeah, yeah. Although that's not ideal, because then normally fall asleep within about 3 pages.
So you do read your book every day before going to sleep?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, mostly. I try to. Sometimes if I'm going through a period where maybe I'm having a tricky time, lots of things on my mind, then I actually find it very difficult to read, and I
Yeah.
won't. So that's always a good indicator of my kind of state of mind, I think, whether I feel like I'm going to pick up a book and read, because I love reading.
Yeah.
If I don't read, if I haven't read for a while, I think, that's not good.
Yeah. What do you read? What kind of genre? I mean, what kind of
Oh, always fiction. I never read nonfiction. No,
great.
never.
Lovely.
Yeah,
And
always fiction.
yeah, and then when you wake up at around 7, do you spend some time? And what's the structure look like? What's the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you probably unconsciously do? Do you
Mm.
spend time in the garden in the morning, or what is the routine and structure?
Well, usually uh, wake up with my youngest. My youngest will come into the room to let me know it's time to get up, and then and then I usually will have a shower before going downstairs, so that I like to come downstairs like ready to start my day. Yeah, and have tea or coffee, some breakfast, make packed lunches for the day ahead. You know, we have a dog. My husband will take the dog out while I will make all the packed lunches and stuff. He'll take the dog out, and then the children go off to school all at different times. So it's just,
What are some of the things or a central message that you would like to, for people who are listening to this, want to take home?
well, I think don't try. I think sometimes there's a strong message. I think maybe it comes from the media, or I don't know where it comes from. That well-being and it is a set way, that it's like it's this. You do mindfulness, or you do this, or you do that, and that's how you're looking after yourself. But actually, I think it's what I found is for myself is that actually it's very individual what it is that gives you that feeling of well-being. And I think people shouldn't look at what other people are doing as
Yeah.
their guide for how to feel positive. They should look within themselves and find out what makes them happy, find out what makes them feel good, and go down that route. Don't worry if it doesn't seem to be the thing that you're being told will make you happy, or you're being told will make you feel good or will feel better about yourself. Find out what actually makes you feel better about yourself, and do those things.
Right. That's so important, not to go by a script, right? Like you said, when you're a primary school teacher, you said, it's prescriptive. Then it kind of aligns with what you said, isn't it? Explore yourself a lot more.
Yeah, but I think that can take time. It's not. I don't think it comes, easily. I mean, it doesn't for me always. So, yeah, and not be hard on yourself as well. A lot of people I talk to, they're feeling down, or they're feeling frustrated, and when they start talking, I say, it sounds like, you're being really hard on yourself, like, and I think people sometimes need to step back, think about the good things that they're doing, think about all they are achieving, focus on the positives. Easier said than done sometimes, but
But absolutely, I couldn't agree more with some of the things that we talk about in the well-being space in psychology, especially. So, again, I just wanted to thank you so much. I know you're at work, and thank you for taking the time out and speaking to the people out there who can listen. I'm sure they benefit a lot from listening to you. Namaste once again, and thank you so much, Amy, and have a brilliant day.
thank you, Krishna. Lovely to speak to you.